to you from the University of Minnesota, Rochester,
Shouldn't I feel bad? I feel so dumb.
our town.
What if it's just a dream and I wake up, I just wake up?
My head hanging in the corner.
If you're anything like me and don't know the difference between a pipa and a piccolo, you're in luck because the Rochester Music Guild has a Lunch and Learn series, and today on the Our Town couch I have Ben and Scott, co-chairs of the Lunch and Learn series. Welcome to Our Town.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So what can someone attending the Lunch and Learn series expect?
First and foremost, great music.
I hope that I'll learn something.
Awesome.
Yes, yes.
So how did the series get started? What are some of the goals of the series?
We just try to bring in music people maybe haven't heard about, things that we're interested in. The people in our position as the co-chairs are usually musicians themselves and have contacts within the field.
And we try to make it a varied concert series as well. So, I mean, classical music is fantastic, and we have some great classical musicians on the program this season. But like as you mentioned in your intro, we have a pipa player this week. We have someone who's a Victrola jockey. He plays like old 78s on a crank-up a Victrola machine. And so just all kinds of stuff, a jazz violinist. So we try to make kind of like a varied experience.
So something for everyone.
Yeah, something for everyone. And then also, you know, we have our core group of people that come to the concerts and they get exposed to different types of music. So hopefully after the concerts, they're inspired to talk to the artist or go to the library and check out all kinds of music from around the world and broaden their horizons.
So you mentioned that you both have musical interests. Can you tell me a little bit about your interests and your talents in the music world?
Well, I went to music school for my bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree, all in classical guitar, and perform around town. I spent a few years as a member of the Minneapolis Guitar Quartet. Now I do mainly solo performing, but I'm actually one of the performers on this year's Lunch and Learn season with a great local violinist named Kathleen Lamb, and we're doing some classical guitar and violin duets. Oh. I also play electric guitar. I play in a local group called Sterling and the Silver Lining. And and so I teach guitar. That's like my main
That's a great band
thing.
name. Sterling and the Silver Lining.
Yeah, I didn't come up with it. But when I joined the band, I thought, oh, that's really cool. So yeah, I'm just a professional musician.
How about you, Scott?
I'm a semi-professional musician. I play bass trombone, the largest trombone in the family. It's bigger around than the ones you see in school bands. So I played that since college. I play in orchestras, concert bands, jazz bands, trombone choir, brass choir, anything that I can get my hands on.
So this season's Lunch and Learn series, where do they take place? What locations in town?
Primarily, they're at Christ United Methodist Church. They have a really nice space called the ECC that has a stage low down and then tiered seating. It has excellent acoustic, a nice piano for the cases when we have that. We also have one performance at Gloria Dei Lutheran Church and one at Charter House this season.
And the Guild is, I heard it was over 50 years old. Can you tell me a little bit about the early history of the organization?
Well, it started in 1963. In 1964, they had a big meeting. I think it was primarily local women who started it, and it's my understanding that the first few meetings had like dozens. Like the first meeting had like 70 attendees. So ever since then, it's just kind of kept growing, and well, the meetings are a little smaller, but the outreach of it has grown. And I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
It started out as a support for the symphony and has expanded into other areas. So now we have the education track that we're involved with. There's a scholarship program for youth musicians. We provide grants to outside music organizations. So there's a variety of things we're focus on
So
these
supporting
days.
the musical arts all across the community. So what are your hopes? You said you're working within sort of the education tract of the work. What would be your hopes for the next 50 years of the Guild in terms of educating and connecting with the community?
Well, I would hope that we can continue to offer, like, sponsor great events, and that young people can keep on hearing good music, and that there's more opportunities for them to participate in music. I think the Lunch and Learn is a really cool thing that the Music Guild does. I think probably even cooler still is a scholarship competition, because that is something that directly impacts like young musicians, and they're the ones that's going to keep the music alive.
It would be nice if some of those contestants could come back and be the guest at a Lunch and Learn in the
Definitely,
future.
definitely.
And then also with the Lunch and Learn, they're most often on Fridays at noon, which obviously is not a good time for young people, and so we'd like to get out and get young people coming to our events.
Some
in the
other
future
ways
too.
to hit, to other times. Beyond the alliteration, I actually do not know the difference between a pipa and a piccolo. So as we close up here, any thoughts about that?
Well,
anything you could teach me about that?
Well, yeah, they're quite different, other than the two opening letters. A pipa, if you come to the concert tomorrow at Christ United
And who's the artist
Methodist
for that?
Church, Gao Hong is her name, and she's a renowned pipa player. I actually played with her when I was in the guitar quartet. It is the Chinese version of the lute, so it's a stringed instrument.
Yeah, I see it. The body is pretty.
Yep, it's like pear-shaped, and you kind of set it up, and it's kind of like flamenco guitar in a way. She puts these little picks on her fingers, and she does these kind of like tremolo, kind of mandolin type sound, but by flailing her fingers out. And so, yeah, and lots of like bends. It's a really beautiful instrument. And the piccolo is a little wind instrument.
Well, I'm sure. I'll see if I can join tomorrow and check her out. Thank you both for joining us today on our
thank you.
Our Town is brought to you in part by the following amazing people and organizations:
the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, and the citizens of Minnesota.
and the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
Be sure to stick around. We've got more great stories coming up next. It is officially sweater weather, and Danielle Teal is on the hunt for fall fashions that are both cozy and chic. We also learn about Destination Medical Center's efforts to support women and minority businesses. But up first, we check out the story behind a critter-centered publication, Wagazine, in this week's Our Culture segment.
I am Ellington Starks, the editor and publisher of the Wagazine. So the Wagazine is a pet publication, and we started it in 2013, and so it was just a response to my love and kind of a marriage of my love of writing and editing and animals and animal rescue and pet ownership. So I partner with our designer, who's Kate Brew, and our photographer and general manager, I would say, is Kelvin Andow. And also Ann Indikowitz, she's in sales, and she sells the ads and makes it all happen financially. So this is a fantastic team. There's no way I did this alone. A lot of times we have writers, our freelancers will pitch stories to us, and we've printed a lot of those. And sometimes people will submit essays or ideas that we'll run with. Sometimes our readers will submit stories of their own pets, their own experiences. And then a lot of times I'm just keeping an ear to the ground about interesting animal stories that are happening in our region. So we are funded 100% by advertising. So we're so grateful for our advertisers who've come on board and will purchase an ad in the Wagazine, and that helps us pay for our printing costs and our freelance writer costs. It's quarterly, so it's pretty seasonal. It follows the seasons. We label the covers spring, summer, fall, and winter. We distribute it through vet offices, waiting rooms, coffee shops, groomers, anyone who advertises with us, and anyone who'll accept it in their spot.
Hello. How are you? Hi. Good. How are you?
We are a grassroots distribution system, so our staff is the distributors. So we pick up boxes from the printer when they come off the press, and we drive around and get them out there.
There you go. Thank you.
So our fall 2019 issue features a cockatoo. It's a white bird with yellow plumage, and he's got quite an attitude, and he's was born in 1991. So he's an older bird, and he's got quite a story, and it's a really fun story to read. So the Wagazine is a passion project of mine. And a lot of people ask me when I started my full-time job, oh, are you going to give up the Wagazine? Are you going to give up the rescue work that you do? No, and I actually even said that in my interview. I'm not willing to compromise my love of publishing these stories. You know, I stay up late hours editing and assigning stories and speaking with writers and subjects, and it's a labor of love. I always get a better return than the work I put into it. I had a great experience a couple months ago where a woman came up to me and said to me, "The Wagazine changed my life," and told me a story about how she read an article about a horse rescue that we had done a story on, and she volunteered with that rescue. She used the story to make contact with the rescue, became a volunteer with them, and it completely changed the outlook on her life, that weekly volunteering she began. And it still gives me chills. It gives me chills today to talk about, to know that because we published a story and because we shared someone else's passion, horse rescue, it changed another person's life. It affected someone else in that way. That is why I do the Wagazine.
For more information about this story and other Our Town features, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter at KSMQ #OurTown, or ksmq.org/ourtown.
Long-range transportation planning is on the agenda for the Rochester Olmsted Council of Governments. This plan focuses on anticipated issues 20 to 25 years down the road. So if you're interested in thinking about the far distant future, be sure to attend the open house on Tuesday, October 15th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. in the Olmsted County Planning Office. Future projects are shown for area streets and highways, interchanges on surrounding highways, urban and regional bike and pedestrian paths, and potential regional and downtown Rochester high-capacity transit options. For more information, visit co.olmsted.mn.us. And if Halloween is your favorite holiday because you love costumes, enjoy an evening of hot fashion and creative costumes at the Castle Community on Wednesday, October 17th from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Models take the runway wearing original designs by Marion Faget, Brooke Birch, and Hunter Prudy. All proceeds go to the Immersion Youth Repertory, a nonprofit providing theatrical education for youth in Rochester. More details at Eventbrite. Search for Hot Couture. And hot cider and caramel apples are the tempting rewards at the finish line for the Hot Cider Hustle Half Marathon and 5K on Sunday, October 20th. The race begins at 8:45 a.m. and registration is available at runsignup.com. Join the Rochester entrepreneurial ecosystem for Entrepreneur Week from Tuesday, October 22nd through Friday, October 25th. Entrepreneurship Week is a 4-day celebration of local ideas and innovators, which includes 9 different events hosted all around the city of Rochester. This 2019 celebration also includes a brand new Business Legends Live on Wednesday, October 23rd. All are welcome and encouraged to attend this and all the things on the program. Find more information and registration details at rochester-ew.org. And coming up next, Danielle gets some fashion advice from a local style expert in this week's Walkabout segment.
This is Danielle Teal with Our Town Walkabout. I'm super excited about this one because we're going to be talking about some fall fashions. This is Samantha Erickson, and she's a bit of a guru when we're talking about fashion. So first of all, I love your outfits.
Thank you.
And I've been following you on social media. You share a lot about outfits and awesome, unique ways to think about some fashion and stuff. So what I want to know is, how do you put a piece together?
Yes, so it all starts with a capsule collection. So I only have in my closet what I want to wear right now. Everything else is in a tote, in a closet. I don't see it, I'm not thinking about it. So it really helps with decision fatigue.
So if it's spring, it's a spring box, and if it's fall, then you've got all that accessible to you.
Exactly.
Got it.
That way I have no closet clutter.
Okay,
and
that's
then I
great.
get a little bit of inspiration from Pinterest or whatever's trending or whatever I'm feeling, and then go from there. So like this one in particular.
Yeah, explain this outfit. I mean, first of all, start with the shoes.
So this is actually one of my absolute favorite trends that I feel like is really going to stick around, and it is basics but with a fun twist. So for instance, these are just rare boots but in a great pattern, and I love the snakeskin trend. I feel like it's a really great complement to the leopard trend that's also really popular
which
right
is
now.
Incredibly popular.
Otherwise, it's really just a sweater and jeans, but I think it's kind of fun that you can spice up an outfit really simply with some fun shoes, other accessories like my belt with a gold detail kind of matches the earrings, and then throwing a hat on top.
And the earrings is feathers, and
yes.
it looks stunning with
Thank
your outfit.
you.
It adds a little character to the ensemble. And then, of course, I see that you paired it with a neutral jacket as well.
Yes, so this one just came out of the closet this morning because hello, fall, winter already.
You have put together a combination of an awesome outfit. We're gonna go shopping. This is Danielle Teal with Our Town Walkabout.
My head hanging in the corner. My body shimmies to the door.
Workforce development and local business are big priorities as the city grows. I'm joined today by Jorrie Johnson and Darcy Tello. We're going to talk to us a little bit about how DMC and the city are supporting women and minority-owned business. Welcome to Our Town.
Thank you.
So, Jorrie, can you tell me a little bit about some of the specific business goals that DMC has had with regard to women and minority business owners and employees?
Yep. So DMC has in legislation goals to help women and minorities and to be involved in the DMC projects. The City of Rochester then adopted a targeted business utilization plan that has the specific goals and how we are going to achieve those goals and measure them. The goal for targeted business is 4%, and that includes women, minority, veteran, small businesses that are certified by, there's 3 different regulatory agencies that we are recognizing for certification.
And do those businesses have to be local, or can they be statewide or from other places outside of the state?
They can be actually nationwide if they applied for certification in the state of Minnesota. We would really like to have more locally owned targeted businesses in the area to provide the services for the DMC projects rather than having the contractors look out for subcontractors outside of the area. So we're hoping to grow capacity of targeted businesses.
We do have a local business owner right here.
Yeah.
Darcy, can you tell us a little bit about your experience and some of the work that you've been doing through MedCity Installation?
Well, through MedCity Installation, we are commercial and residential floor covers, and actually we have done a lot of projects throughout the Rochester area, and I guess towards the city is just kind of anywhere. We have done Chateau, which was a wonderful project.
The renovation
to work
of the
on.
theater.
The renovation of the theater here, yes. We've worked on other projects. Recently we just finished helping out with the Ronald McDonald House, which we're very proud of as well. So yeah, it is a great opportunity as a woman and minority-owned business owner to get involved with the city and get involved with the companies and work with the contractors to get out there and be a part of your community.
Fantastic. And Jorrie, where are we with regard to those goals that were set out in that legislation for DMC now? How many years ago that was? In 2013, I think that's when the legislation came out. Where are we in meeting those goals?
Well, we've met the goals that were established, which were modest. There's one specific project, Mortensen, One Discovery Square, that far exceeded the goals. And then there are some other projects that are struggling a little bit more. Those projects are more of this highway heavy projects that we need to work on a little bit more in both targeted business and workforce.
So what are some of the numbers in the Mortensen One Discovery Square project?
Yeah, they had 17% of their contracts went to targeted businesses, and 25 of those businesses are women owned, which is amazing that they far exceeded. However, there was only one that was locally owned, so we are aware of that, and we're hoping to increase the number of targeted locally owned businesses.
Fantastic. So are there certain sectors that you're focusing on with these goals? It sounds like a lot of it is building, construction, contracting. What other sectors might be included in that?
Well, right now we're tracking construction and construction administration.
Okay. And what is construction administration?
So it could be, say, studies. The transit-oriented development study that's FTA funded will be tracked for targeted business and workforce. There's design and administration, such as the compliance administration itself. So who is involved on the contracting side, pre-construction.
Okay.
And then in the construction process, from the prime contractor all the way through the finishing of the project. So there's many different types of businesses, and we're going to be looking for the capacity to see if there are any gaps in the construction industry in the area, so we can help encourage businesses to fill those gaps.
Fantastic. And Darcy, what have been some of the, challenges and opportunities you faced as a minority and woman business owner working in, construction and building?
There have been challenges. Going in and being a woman in a man's type of a business field, it is kind of, you kind of step back and you have to go in and you have to be strong and you have to know what you're doing, and you have to walk in with confidence. First of all, first and foremost, you have to walk in with confidence and know what you're getting yourself into. Don't shy away from that. We actually contract with the union, so our local carpenters union has helped us immensely. They support us 100%. Working with the workforce center, we have had so many opportunities that we just are able to have so many connections through that, and then we're just trying to get women and minorities on board that we have. Me personally, I have not had a whole lot of struggle because I have so many connections and so many people to help us and support us along the way in our community.
Of course, it was so great that was written into the early legislation for this big plan for the city. And I'm wondering, I guess for someone who might be wondering, why do you think that this inclusion and this focus on these targeted businesses that include minorities and women, why is that important to our growth here in the city? That diversity.
Right. Well, it's important that the taxpayers have an opportunity to participate in government-funded projects. We want the participation of the population, people that live in this area, to be able to benefit from the investments in the projects. So that is by starting with those goals and making sure that they have opportunities to bid and get the contracts.
It's a competitive process as well.
It is. And then if it's been controlled by a few, for many years, and it's now with this legislation, we have the opportunity in Rochester to really grow and become more of a welcoming community to more people and retain the people that live here, and hopefully keep our children here for longer.
That's fantastic. And as part of that welcoming, approach, I think recently the National Association of Minority Contractors, is that the right name of it, has opened a Rochester branch. Do you know a little bit about that?
I do. Walter Smith III, he helped launch the National Association of Minority Contractors Upper Midwest Rochester branch, and that was in June. They have been working closely with Minnesota Department of Transportation. Also in the Twin Cities, there's a support center, a resource center to help disadvantaged business enterprises get started and get certification and get bids. So that's what we're hoping to do, is to provide more support for those businesses.
To help build that capacity,
here.
Right, bridge that gap,
Exactly.
so that you can have the resources that Darcy was mentioning before.
Yes, absolutely.
So you've exceeded, so the goals have been met in most of the areas, and those initial goals that you said were pretty modest. What do you think is the next frontier for the next few years in terms of this?
Right, well, we have a collaboration started in Rochester to help the construction small businesses get started. We want to, like I said, do some market research to identify where there could be some possible gaps For future construction, which will be some highway heavy, there's North Broadway, there's heart of the city is going to be mostly groundwork and circulator. So we know that there's going to be a need for those types of businesses. So thinking ahead for both targeted businesses, what we're going to need, and for workforce. We're working with workforce development also to help with the training, and then entrepreneurism to give them, the entrepreneurs, the support that they need to get the businesses started and get certified by the time those projects are underway.
So that work is pretty cut out for you. How can women and minority business owners and employees learn more about the work that's being done, these goals, and how to get that support?
It's exciting that you asked. So to learn more about becoming a targeted business, there's, like I said, there's 3 different certifications that the city is recognizing right now. There's the CERT certification, and that's managed by the City of St. Paul. There's the MNUCP program managed by Minnesota Department of Transportation, and then there's the TGED managed by Minnesota Department of Administration, and they are all certifying businesses.
So there's a lot of different ways to get involved. We'll take, I think a lot of information can be found on the DMCA website and in the city.
We do have a one page on our city website.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Jorrie and Darcy, for joining us. And thank you for joining us from the University of Minnesota, Rochester. We will see you next week.